All right, let's get settled in here. Appreciate you guys for stopping by here. It's a late night session. So much to cover, though, so I wanted to fire it up. We have a lot to talk about. If you guys are new here, I appreciate you for stopping by. I do talk about current events, financial markets, cryptocurrency, and the greatest transfer of wealth in world history. My name is Zach Rector. Everything's at my website, zachrector.com. Let's rock and roll. And this is not going to be a 5-minute quick video. We're going to park up here and sit for 45 minutes minimum, going through an update, covering it. Like I said, what's taking place? How does it relate to how we make money, how we invest our money, how we protect our money? That's why we talk about the current events, the politics, the decodes, that get us to the point where we can make an effective decision based off of fundamental thesis combined with technical analysis with an understanding of the psychology of our competitors, which there's not much of them in this time of mass confusion, delusion, and distraction. Our competition is busy playing silly games while we are completely focused and locked in on our mission and purpose. An XRP thesis is part of it, but it's a lot more than that. This is an XRP market update live, full update. Let's get started right away. I appreciate you guys for stopping by. If you guys haven't already, please make sure you guys like it, share it. Let's go. NVIDIA came out. They beat their earnings, yet the stock is falling down as we speak in the after hours trading. NVIDIA reports Q2 revenue of $30 billion, beating expectations. NVIDIA's Q2 2024 revenue hitting $30 billion. This is surpassing expectations were at, $28.86 billion. Adjusted earnings per share was 68 cents, beating the 64-cent estimate, while the adjusted gross margin was 75.7%, slightly above the forecast. Data center revenue reached $26.38 billion, also exceeding expectations, and gaming revenue was $2.9 billion. They're making cash, or at least they're reporting it. By the way, please let me know how the sound is coming through. I noticed on my video earlier today, every single one of my breaths could be heard, and my volume was super loud and jacked up, so I don't know what was happening. I apologize for that. Let me know in the comments down below. Hopefully it's dialed in here tonight. And I do get excited, so sometimes that also doesn't help. Ranting and raving. So NVIDIA forecasts Q3 revenue of $32.5 billion with a gross margin between 74.5 and 75.5%. The quarterly dividend remains at 1 cent per share, with Blackwell production set to start in Q4. This is what came out today, but NVIDIA down in the after hours. Continuing on this one, for the first time, NVIDIA disclosed the percentage of revenues related to its large customers, and assuming customer E to be about 5%, 50% of NVIDIA total revenues in Q2 only depended on 5 customers only. Whoa. When you start to take a look at the details of this company and where that money's coming from, or at least where they say it's coming from, this gets interesting. Considering we know the names of some of these customers and they are all developing their own AI chips internally, how sustainable are these NVIDIA revenues? Asking for a friend. And we're not even going to have the conversation about how real are these revenues. So folks are starting to dig into this NVIDIA. The AI hype train has, still been there, kind of fizzling out. And we're, wondering if NVIDIA has topped quite a ways off of the all-time high and falling in the after-hours trading. And the folks that are digging into this are finding some very interesting data points. If your third largest customer is committing fraud, is that bullish? And this is Lawrence McDonald from Real Vision, and he's tagging NVIDIA in Super Microcomputer. Now, what just happened with Super Microcomputer? Well, they delayed their 10K filing after Hindenburg Research said it was committing accounting fraud yesterday. The stock is now down 34% over the week. I think that I saw that it's down some over 60% in, what was it, the last month? Or maybe this year? It's from the all-time high, my apologies. 60% from the all-time high. 34% over the last week. And this research group, the day before they were set to release their 10K filing, they dropped this, evidence that they're committing accounting fraud, and now they delay their, 10K filing and reportings. So this is why when we start to dig in here and you start to look under the hood of this market, the concentration in these stocks, it's very clear that there's going to be a rotation of capital as the Fed starts to cut rates. When the Fed was raising rates, capital was tightening, liquidity was tightening up, and it still has been. These companies have been printing money hand over fist, and whether it's legit, whether there is some fraud, I'm not willing to, give them that verdict quite yet. I haven't seen enough evidence for myself, but I've seen enough that it makes me want to ask some questions. And I've seen enough that it makes me, combine this with the rest of my thesis that we're going to see a correction before the election for the traditional equity stock market, and we need to be prepared for it. Now, this is Finance Law sharing the comparison chart here between NVIDIA and Cisco. Cisco was a big stock during the dot-com bubble of the 2000s. This is the 3-month chart, and you see these two massive candlesticks printed lining up exactly like Cisco did back in 2000. We'll be watching this one closely, to say the least, right? Correction before the election is my thesis, but then no matter who gets elected, money printer gets turned back on, and you better strap in because these assets are going to go for a ride. Inflation is going to return. We are in the middle of a world war. We are also on the brink of civil war, and you better believe that the internal chaos is about to pick up in this election cycle. It's not cooling down from here over the next few months. So, strap in, pray to somebody, get right with somebody, because, folks, it's picking up. And this is the war that I'm talking about right here. Kim.com talking about the French government losing over $17 billion over the arrest of Pavel Durov. That's the CEO founder of Telegram. The UAE froze a deal to purchase 80 Rafale fighter jets and says that the arrest of Pavel Durov is outrageous. Pavel is a citizen of the UAE and a close friend of the Deputy Prime Minister Hamdan Al Maktoum. Now, they were, kind of denying him lawyers. Eventually, he's gotten lawyers. He has been released on bail here in the past few hours as I'm recording this live. And so he is now out on bail, can't leave the country. They've charged him with, over a dozen charges. And we'll see where this goes. We'll see if it sticks. It opens up a precedent that gets very, very interesting. So we're going to be watching it closely. But actions have consequences on the world stage. And this is what the West doesn't realize. The West has been playing this game here, and like we've been saying, go woke, you're going to go broke. We're seeing it play out right now. The French just lost $17 billion. Now, how much has the United States lost? How much has the West lost, the cumulative, when you add it all up with the trade deals that we've done? And once again, we have to know as Americans, we have countries like the French with Macron who have been going to the UAE and other countries and doing deals outside of our U.S. dollar. So we can't sit here and pretend like, the French are our friends, really. I mean, God bless the French. I'm not saying anything wrong. I'm just saying your leader, Macron, as many of you guys would probably be critical of as well, has been doing deals outside the U.S. dollar. And as an American, I have to realize that. And as an American, I commend countries outside of our country that are saying, hey, we better come up with a solution because the United States path is very clear. 35 trillion of debt with over 100 trillion of unfunded liabilities. There's only one way out. You inflate it or you default it. And that's why I say there's only one way out, because we know they're not going to default. We know they're not going to admit. Now, is President Trump going to come back and do some sort of restructuring? I think he has a plan. Now, obviously, Biden and Kamala, they have a plan. They've already started that process. We're going to talk about that here next. Right now, this is what we're watching on the World War front. All of the United States Navy assets that have so far been ordered to the Middle East have now arrived in the region and are awaiting operations. When you take a look at this map, you see the artillery. When you see the ships that we got positioned, and that's just, ships, you already know we have hundreds of bases throughout this region. We got all sorts of equipment, assets throughout this region. But where is Joe Biden? Biden is now lounging on the beach during his second straight week of vacations. Now, Nick Sorter says this is absurd. He asked the question, who the hell is the president now? Kamala? Is it fair to ask who's the president? Who's the commander-in-chief that's sending and deploying all these assets to the Middle East? Is there any talks of peace? I'm praying for peace. I'm calling out the fact that we can't cash a check as far as the United States government now spending more on our interest than we are on our defense spending. I would say we could rein back in our defense spending some. We spend the most in the world by far, but we have to acknowledge where we're at. We're broke, we're bust, on the brink of war, and Biden's on the beach. I don't know about, God, I'm visiting the beach. I go with the family to the beach. Yeah, we're having some beach days. You got to have some time to reset, relax. I'm not, going to say that, but this dude's been at the beach second straight week of vacations for Biden. His administration, we could say it's over, but did it ever begin? Who has been running this country? Who is pulling the strings? And what do they have planned as they get exposed for this? It's a full-out assault against everything that made this opportunity in this country great. Here we go. The unthinkable is being proposed. Unrealized capital gains tax. Vice President Harris tax proposals. I said I was going to be fair. When Kamala's campaign came out with their policies, I was going to be happy to cover it. This is the end of wealth in America as we know it if this gets enacted. That's just the fact. The corporate tax rate currently at 21%, she's taking it to 28%. The capital gains currently at 20%, she's taking it to 44.6%. The unrealized gains tax that doesn't exist and is unconstitutional, she would introduce and take it to 25%. I'm just going to leave my comments at that. You guys see how frustrated this makes me. We actually had CNBC, Joe Kernan. When Joe Kernan is rolling his eyes in disgust at you and calling you out, you know it's bad. Take a listen, folks. This is CNBC Today. Kamala Harris, economic advisor, confirms plan to tax unrealized gains. See, we were called crazy. This isn't real. This is fake news. You guys are being ridiculous. And you know what point they love to say? They love to tell us, oh, you're poor. You don't have $100 million of unrealized capital gains. This won't impact you. It's the dumbest thing you could ever say when those that employ hundreds of thousands and millions of people across this country are the ones with over 100 million of unrealized capital gains. And what do you think is going to happen to their wealth? What do you think they're going to do with their assets? What do you think is going to happen to their business? And the doofus moron that thinks, oh, let's tax the rich. Do you think they're going to have a job waiting for them at the end of the day? No. The wealth would leave this country in droves. And Norway tried this. So don't take it from me. Go look at the Norway data for yourself. They expected to collect hundreds of millions of dollars. They ended up losing. I think it might have even been billions. They ended up losing because the wealth left. The assets left. The money and people left. Now, this is so ridiculous. There's no way that they would even pass it. But it's actually just laughable that they think that it's a strong policy position to take. This is one of those issues where, to me, it's not political. This is not a political issue. Do you want a program to destroy the wealth in this country? This is the policy you would enact if that was your agenda. Let's play the clip.
Unrealized gains, taxing unrealized gains just doesn't seem fair in any sense of the word. In the very best sense, if you are taxing unrealized gains, all you're doing is pulling forward the taxes that would be paid later when someone actually sells the stock.
I think that this reaction to unrealized gains is a little funny, given that I bet that the majority of people watching right now are already paying a tax on unrealized gains. It's called a property tax.
Property tax.
When the value of your home goes up,
that's an old.
It's a use tax.
When the value of your home goes up, you pay higher taxes, even if you don't sell your home.
Your value of your home never moves the way a stock moves, the way something else moves.
That's always the go-to answer.
It's also, property tax is a use tax. You're paying for the schools. You're paying for emergency services. Those are things that make absolute sense.
And sure, and all the revenue that comes in from these unrealized gains taxes and the other taxes in the Harris plan are going to go to creating what she calls more opportunity. It's to make sure that every newborn born in this country gets $6,000.
Using the services.
Well, look, you're arguing that this is some sort of foreign concept that's completely unknown in the U.S. tax code.
It's probably unconstitutional. It's probably, and it was never in anyone's intent to tax.
It's not an income tax,
and it's never going to happen. Probably. Not in, well, I'm not going to say my lifetime.
I wouldn't say that.
Not in Becky's lifetime.
Yeah. More opportunity. More opportunity. That's what they're running with. Folks, if you didn't know any better, you would think that they think you're stupid. I mean, that's my takeaway. It's like you're literally talking to a dumbed down population that doesn't understand what's about to happen with a 2-tier class society that would be born from that, where it would be the poor, the UBI, the average, the comfortable, they say quote unquote comfortable, but average, while the wealthy elite who would be in control would control most of the wealth, and those who wanted to take their wealth out and leave would do so. The rich decide how much tax they want to pay, essentially. How much do they want to reinvest back in their company? And they make a decision. Okay, yeah, we will pay some tax this year. Once again, do we want to create an environment that's friendly for business, entrepreneurs, and capitalists? We've seen the best example of this in crypto. When you attack the industry and the entrepreneurs and the capitalists, it will leave. Exactly what's happening. Greatest case in point would be Ripple. Their business is growing by the billions of dollars in volume and amount of value being moved. It's growing by the billions outside the United States. They're growing their headcount. They're growing their headcount by hundreds outside of the United States versus making it happen back here, back home in the good old US of A. And so it's just incredible that we're at this point where they really think that that's going to be a great campaign policy to run on. And this is why it's beautiful to see the Kennedy Democrats, the Democrats with common sense. You know what I'm saying? Because I don't agree down the board with all of Republican policies. I call myself a libertarian. I want people to be able to live free, pursue life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness on a level playing field. And I want you to get the hell out of the way of me doing it for my family. And I'm talking about the government. It's just please remove yourself from the situation, or at least just lay the rules of the road and then get out of the way. Give me the speed limit and let me ride free. We're going to bring a lot of value to the people. But this idea of controlling the population through taxes, through other agendas that they wish to push forward, I'm just touching the tip of the iceberg. I'm not even going to go into it. You guys know the deal. You guys have seen. Can you imagine another 4 more years of a policy, policy positions across the board that squeeze out the middle class and the poor of America? That's not, that to me is not even political. That's just what the economic policies do. I'm mostly focusing on the economic policies. That's what's going to impact how we make it, how we protect it, and how we multiply it. And we better have a plan. Because if they get through another few years of this, Father Woody with the 10 spot, yo, Zach, they might as well tax the air we breathe too. They're real dip. Yep. You know, you're the guy who got me into XRP. Thanks for all you do, brother. Father Woody, I appreciate you so much, my friend. Thank you for the support. Yeah, one flat tax. Yep. QFS team, I see you, brother. Much love. 100%. Simplify it. Dennis says that question better be asked during the debate. Man, I'd love to host a debate. We'd have a good time. Bring back respectable debate in this country. Goodness gracious. That's the sad point. Hey, to me, you can tell a lot. If you can debate policies and positions and ideas and philosophy with somebody without them getting offended, you have someone that has at least some level of intelligence and some level of standing, conviction. We don't have to agree, but we should be able to have a respectable debate. There are some that want to stifle, censor, and control the narrative. By the way, before I forget to mention this later in the video, guys, what I just heard today, I don't even want to be that guy. Like, I put out a tweet today talking about it. Let me show you guys the tweet, because I don't even want to be that hype guy. I don't. I like to back up everything that I put out. I really do. But there's a reason why I put out this tweet today. XRP documentary about to blow this thing wide open. Case conclusion, bombshell evidence, XRP flip of the switch, which I'm just hoping and praying for, right? XRP will be ready to run free. The bombshell evidence part. What I just heard today, I got a little whisper in my ear. I'm not trying to be like that guy, but I'm going to be that guy. What I heard today is an absolute bombshell that I hope to God does get released in this documentary. It's nothing I've heard before. Well, we've thought about, we've had our suspicions. It confirms everything. It is smoking gun evidence tying everything back together. ETHgate, other parties and entities, familiar faces, founders of crypto projects, not going to say their name. Smoking gun. I pray that it gets released. Folks, when I tell you it's a bombshell piece of evidence that connects everything, it is a bombshell piece of evidence. And it looks like it's going to be put in this documentary. They are still working. I talked with them just this last week. The documentary is set to be released in November. They're waiting until the case appeal window expires on October 6th. And then after that, they're going to make the tickets available, and they're going to be pre-screening the movie across the country in about a handful of cities. Now, that's going to be the week before the documentary goes live on Amazon, Apple, and all the other streaming platforms. I just talked to these folks. I got to be careful. Somebody whispered in my ear, and I didn't think that we were going to have this evidence going into this. They're working with blockchain experts, validating it on the blockchain, but we also have some other smoking gun evidence that's set to be released in this documentary potentially. I'm telling you, this thing blows it wide open to a level that's so much bigger than XRP, that's so much bigger than crypto. There's a reason why Hollywood was not interested in this story. There's a reason why Hollywood can't talk about this story. This is not another crypto bro documentary that talks about some crypto kid getting rich, blowing it, and it's a cool movie that shows some silly stuff. This is a historical piece of evidence and documentation that's set to be released this year. I cannot wait. I'm sorry. I remembered that, and I wanted to make sure I'd mentioned it. I forgot to write a note about it, and so it came up, and so I wanted to deliver that to you guys. It is coming in November. Smoking gun evidence that ties everything together, set to be released in this too. I think this could be a very, very bullish catalyst as well. More on that later. Let's get into crypto talk. Eleanor Terrett. Huge shout out to Eleanor for being one of the few in mainstream media actually covering this story. SEC Commissioner Hester Peirce says she partly blames herself for how the commission has interpreted the Howey test when it comes to crypto. She was in a space today. Eleanor Terrett was listening and taking notes. She says, quote, "I blame myself in part for that. Something I could have done differently is helping bring more legal clarity. It's a cautionary tale for other regulators. I think we've got a lot of work to do, both at the SEC and in the industry." So Hester Peirce is taking some responsibility for the situation. That's great. That's a big deal. Not many people would do that. Is Gary Gensler ever going to do that? No, he's going to take credit for claiming that this is great and he's protecting investors. So we got to give credit where credit's due for Hester Peirce acknowledging this. Now there's time to make this right, Hester Peirce. Start filing motions now. Start taking actions now. Start speaking out every single day. It's very easy. There's no excuse not to. If especially you're trying to say you're taking some accountability and you blame yourself for some things that we could have done differently to bring more legal clarity. Well, your boss and you guys just moved on OpenSea earlier today. You've been moving on cryptocurrency companies every single week, every single month. And now you want to, take some accountability. That's great. Let's take action. And this is why I think it's about to break. I think that the action is coming. Because we're past the point where I see folks are responding to the comments about my smoking gun evidence. I'm sorry, guys. I cannot release it. This is something that will not be talked about. It will only be released in the documentary. I'm telling you guys, it's so big. And the implications, like, gives me goosebumps. The implications of this, what bombshell evidence I just heard about today. Okay, you guys made me lose my track. Okay, the accountability's coming. That's what I was saying. Senator Warren, Camp Warren, full panic over John Deaton. And like with the taxes too, it's incredible that they think the proper position to take is anti-crypto, like Elizabeth Warren. Like that should be the face of the Democratic Party. It's gonna, I think, pan out terribly for them in this election. I'm just saying that for the record. And I do believe that when we get through this, and even Chuck Schumer, Democratic Majority Leader, is saying that we're going to get action by the end of this year. So this is something that should be bipartisan. We should be moving forward, and we should already be done. But both sides of the aisle are saying that action comes. That's great. Hester Pierce saying, I'm to blame. That's great. We are almost there, guys. And with this regulation brings institutional adoption, which I'm going to be talking about more later. What do the institutions think about this space, though? Are we the crazy clickbaiters and the hypesters? Or is it Van Eck CEO expecting Bitcoin to trade at $350,000 and mentions bullish people expect 2.9 million? Okay. If I'm guilty of clickbait, I don't know what you call that. 350,000 Bitcoin with bullish people expecting 2.9 million. That's dramatic. See, this is what I've been talking about, though, this moment here. It's no longer like guys like me that have to sell this thing. I don't have to hype this thing up. This is Wall Street selling it. Every single website that I now go to, whether it's MarketWatch, of course, I bought subscriptions to Bloomberg, Wall Street Journal, and others just to be able to, get that information. And all over the place is Grayscale advertising. I don't really see BlackRock, but I see other ETF providers, Van Eck and others. I see their advertising all over the place now, shilling crypto, and the Van Eck CEO talking about $350,000 Bitcoin and $3 million Bitcoin, right? So we're at the precipice of the regulations, and we're at the precipice of institutions coming in and selling this for us. And the amount of capital allocation that's occurred so far, I think, is just a drop in the bucket to what is coming. And we haven't even started to settle real flows of liquidity, which is the utility that excites me the most, is solving liquidity and payments. That hasn't even been fired up and scaled to a level that's even close to what's moving on traditional rails right now. Right, because Ripple's on-demand liquidity and RippleNet has only done about 50 billion in flows so far. That's nothing compared to the 6 trillion daily at Swift, 2 trillion daily at the Clearinghouse in the United States of America, 14 trillion daily at ACI worldwide. It's nothing compared to that. And it's nothing compared to what Ripple's Brooks and Twiso highlights, the World Economic Forum's prediction that about 10% of global GDP will be tokenized by 2027. Take a listen in on this clip.
It can be around central bank digital currencies. It can be around NFTs. We actually believe and put a lot of faith behind this World Economic Forum report that says that just a huge percent, 10% of the world's GDP could be tokenized by 2027 in some form or another. And if you really believe it could be around.
So we see Ripple, and they stay conservative. They cite the World Economic Forum. And that's great. Because when you look at those conservative predictions, where does it take us? 10% of global GDP being tokenized by 2027, that's an amount of value, for sure. You also note how Ripple's noting how the stablecoin space is set to grow from 160 billion right now to 3 trillion by 2028. Is that what they say? This graphic right here shared by XRP Drop shows us 2023 global GDP at 105 trillion. So 10% of that brings us, over 10 trillion. We're talking 15 trillion getting tokenized by 2027. That's only 3 years away. How does that happen? Well, the regulations. How does that happen? Does that happen with retail investment? No. We know how much retail has allocated, and it's enough to put some trillions of dollars in the cryptocurrency marketplace. Absolutely. But if you want to start bringing in tens of trillions, hundreds of trillions, we're talking institutional adoption. And if they're talking about 10% of global GDP, that takes us to 15 trillion. How much of that will be stable coins? Well, a lot of the conservative predictions, like I said, 3 trillion of that is going to be in stable coins. So that would mean that we still have another 10 to 12 trillion that's going to be in the rest of the cryptocurrencies. Do you think that XRP gets a piece of that? Ashley Prosper summarizes this session here today so perfectly. Regulations equals XRP. XRP equals regulations. I can't make it any clearer than that. Brad Garlinghouse said, quote, "We need regulatory clarity in the United States for the entire cryptocurrency industry. The lack of clear regulations is the problem, not the lack of compliance from companies that want to work within the rules." This was an interview from CNBC in 2021. So when you see the regulations, watch XRP. Why hasn't XRP pumped? Well, you don't have a retail XRP holder that's trading XRP or using their XRP. So retail is not moving XRP because nobody's doing anything with their XRP besides holding it. Now, do I think that that's wrong? No. I'm guilty of doing that very thing. I have spent some of my XRP, I have delegated some to the liquidity pools, and I put some of my XRP to work, but I have only dipped my toes in the water of XRP DeFi. I'm very excited to participate and contribute more to XRP DeFi. What am I waiting for? I'm waiting for regulations. I'm waiting for clarity. I'm waiting for institutions and solutions that show up that are sustainable, not crypto bro Ponzi scheme DeFi, which is what we've had up until now. Crypto bro Ponzi DeFi is turning into institutional DeFi. What is this going to do to our space? It's going to make the market caps and the value and the volumes that you've seen move on this space so far look like, child's play, the first inning, the Bush Leagues, the C team. We're about to step it up a notch. And you're about to see institutions show up and move real value on these chains, deploy real capital into this space as a store of value, but also for the utility. Stable coins to 3 trillion, the rest of the space to 15 trillion overall. 10 to 12 trillion tied up in the rest of the crypto space. That's a lot in Bitcoin. That's a lot in XRP. And now is where we debate how much goes into XRP or other said assets as we open up this conversation for Q&A. I appreciate you guys for stopping by here tonight. If you guys haven't already, please make sure you like this video, share it out far and wide. And look at that. I was able to make it through tonight's update in 33 minutes. How perfect is that? So it's a quick one tonight. Let's open it up for Q&A. I appreciate everybody for stopping by. You speak my language. I appreciate you. How are we doing tonight? TikTok, X, YouTube. We are live on all the platforms. How are we doing tonight? By the way, we are going to take a look at the charts here real quick. We are nearly there, just 2 more months. Can someone flip the switch so I can be a billionaire? That's the beautiful thing that, has me waking up every single day excited to get to work, is that my plan is to build generational wealth without XRP. XRP is just one part of it. It will be a significant part of it, in my opinion, but we need to be moving in that direction every single day, whether XRP goes up, whether it goes down, whether it trades sideways, whether Ripple announces a big partnership, whether I put out a video or not. You need to be moving your business, your life, your investments in the right direction. We got to get aligned with our purpose. We got to get clear with our vision right now, with our goals, with our expectations. It's all right that our thesis changes. The evidence, the documentation that we have in front of us is appealing as ever, right? But our timeline has been extended and drawn out to a place that's drained out a lot of people, that's liquidated a lot of folks, unfortunately. That's why we've been trying to stay in the game to make sure we could stay liquid during this time. I got my little bag of cash. I work every single day to stack. I've been moving into cash. I've been telling you guys, cash, liquidity will be king. My bag is a joke compared to Warren the Buffett, who stacked up $287 billion at Berkshire Hathaway as they accomplished a $1 trillion market cap with a website that looks like it's from the 90s. I love that. Warren, the Oracle of Omaha, he did miss the boat on Bitcoin, though. Oh boy. Mel says, Zach, did you know that the XRP documentary might be playing in Cape Canaveral at my center? Uh-oh. Mel's going to be showing it in Florida, maybe. Now we're talking. Florida, stand up. It's late over there on the East Coast. Where are you guys at in the chat? Let me know in the comments. Where are you guys at? Zach, what percentage of your XRP bag are you holding forever? This is another thing that changes, right? As life changes, timeline changes, circumstances change, bad stuff happens to good people every single day. But with that being said, I still plan on holding a large portion of my XRP bag forever. I really do. I've stacked a lot more XRP, though, than when I initially set. My exit strategy in 2020 is a lot different from my exit strategy now in 2024, right? And thank God I've been able to stack a lot more XRP. We got Canada in the house, Florida, Brazil, Vancouver. Digital, I didn't know you were up in Vancouver. What are you doing up in Vancouver? I went up to Cultus Lake last weekend with the fam. Cultus Lake, BC. Beautiful. Goodness gracious. What a beautiful place Canada is. So poorly run. It's just the worst thing ever. It's like just such a beautiful country, so much resources. There's a lot of wealth, but there's just a lot of problems. Poorly ran. David Knight, I appreciate the 10 spot. Keep up the good fight, Zach. You are one of the true ones. David, I appreciate you, my friend. I hope you guys are appreciating this late night session. Irish living in Glasgow. My mentor, Dan Pena, got he got beat up in Glasgow. He got hit upside by a couple ladies. Hit him upside the head with a couple bricks. And what he said, it's one of the few times he's been knocked out. So that's my mentor, Dan Pena. That's his story about Glasgow. Hey, Zach, are you sliding for Vaughn? I don't know what Vaughn is. I don't know who Vaughn is. Okay, hi from Nauru Island in the Pacific Ocean of Micronesia. This is why I love this social media stuff, guys. Live here on TikTok, X, and YouTube, and we literally have worldwide communication happening right now. Worldwide broadcast. Australia in the house. We always got the Aussies in the late night session. What would it be your guys' time? It's Friday in Australia, and it's probably, 6? Depending on where you're at. I guess, there's a few different time zones in Australia. Where is it? What time is it in Australia? Friday at 6 o'clock in the evening? I'm not going to make any jokes about what you guys are putting on the Barbie. Sneak in the dad joke. Oh, by the way, somebody asked, hey, Zach, can you make more content with the red folder and talk about 10K XRP? That made me laugh. I still got the red folder. Absolutely. 10K XRP, we can talk about that too. Drop your guys' comments, questions down below. And it made me think about bringing up the red folder tonight. Nobody's doing legal due diligence in the cryptocurrency space, and I think it's going to be a fatal mistake, as you're seeing right now. Lawsuit against OpenSea, lawsuits against these exchanges. The SEC is starting with these exchanges, and then I think they're going to go after the individual platforms next. Nobody in the crypto space talks about, hey, is what we're doing legit from a legal standpoint? And as investors, many people are not asking, hey, is what these founders did, is what they're doing legit? Joe Blow influencer that's shilling me said token that he got in early on at the launch pad. Is that legit? Was that an investment contract? Is the NFT I bought an investment contract? You know what's interesting about the NFTs is the way that they can be offered is definitely an investment contract. In fact, the best NFTs bring utility that does bring you value. Now, is it an investment contract that meets the prongs of the Howey test, as most courts apply that law? Yeah, it could be. It very well could be. Hey, buy this NFT, and you're going to continue to receive a profit for holding that NFT, and rewards and a program and a DeFi and a story and a hype and that's a problem. that we don't have the clarity to bring real world utility to NFTs in the United States of America. Think about that. I mentioned it yesterday with Donald Trump doing the trading cards. Now, what's interesting about the way that he did this, see, Donald Trump does the trading cards, and then the very next day, the SEC sues or serves up a Wells notice to OpenSea. But the thing about Trump's trading cards is he's not providing any additional expectations of profit based off the efforts of others. You're buying a trading card, and if you buy 15 of them, you get a little stitch of his suit from the debate night. That's all you get. You don't get any additional, you don't get any additional yield or rewards. So is Donald Trump's offer an investment contract? I don't think it is. I'm not a lawyer. But the way that he marketed it in his 2-minute sketch, which looked like something straight out of Saturday Night Live, I'm not going to lie. But at the same time, it looks ridiculous. Do you think that he sold a boatload of those? You bet. You bet. I already saw people that bought enough to get a dinner with him down in Florida. You bet. And I think it's cool. I said yesterday that if he did a trading card or, something that included a stitch of his suit on the assassination day, I'd be interested in that piece of history. The debate night one, okay, you beat Joe Biden. That is a piece of history. That's kind of cool. It's unique. It's, one of how many, I'd be interested to see how many pieces was he able to stitch up of his suit. Because he didn't say there was a limit, but one would assume there has to be a limit. This is a physical commodity that he's attaching to his trading card. Is the trading card in and of itself a security? No, I don't believe it is. Is Trump's offer a security? No, I don't think it's an investment contract. It's very clear. You're buying a trading card and a stitching of a suit. Are suits securities? Are trading cards securities? Trump's checkmating the SEC, the very SEC that he says he's going to fire Gary Gensler. And for the fact checkers in my comments who want to tell me that the president can't fire the chairman, you're right. But he can appoint a new one. Day one, he can appoint a new chairman as the SEC chairman. So technically, can he fire? Well, there actually is. If you break the law, yes, you can. Which, funny enough, every time Trump brings up Gary Gensler, he mentions the CFO campaign criminal conspiracy. Shelby says, talented speaker, great content. I don't know who you're talking about. Hopefully that was me. Shelby, appreciate you. Norway in the chat, 6:20 a.m. in Norway. I did see we got a super chat from Dennis. Cabbage Patch Dolls, meet Howie. Exactly. Everton Polito with a 10 spot. Hi, I think XRP should expose Bitcoin. XRP is better. Yeah. I'm about to, I got a whole plan for that, actually. I'm about to roll out. I'm excited. We're going to do that. I know a lot of people in space don't want us to be focused on that. Oh, we all need to come together. Oh, we all need to be nice. Why do you hate on Bitcoin? Stop hating on Bitcoin. I'm not hating on Bitcoin. I'm just talking about XRP being a better Bitcoin. That's it. We have a legal precedent backing us. Bitcoin has a statement from the SEC to back them. And then from a technical standpoint, we have them beat on every metric. From a decentralized standpoint, I would argue that we may have them beat as well. From a supply standpoint, it's hard to know if we have Bitcoin beat on a supply dynamic. I mean, Ripple does have a large amount of the supply, which makes the supply centralized, but the network is more decentralized for XRP Ledger versus Bitcoin, in my opinion. As far as the supply being more centralized, yes, but one could argue that that's to our benefit because of what Ripple's doing with XRP, building out the XRP ecosystem. That actually works in our favor versus a Satoshi Nakamoto, who actually created Bitcoin, right? That's the big question. We don't know who that is. We don't know a lot of the early Bitcoin insiders. There's a lot of disguised whales in Bitcoin as well. And then from a standpoint, like I said, technologically, it's just XRP is a better Bitcoin as far as the ledgers and how they function. So I agree. Great. Thank you for the super chat there, Everton Polito. I don't know what currency that is. It just says R. I don't know what currency that is, but I appreciate it. We'll take it. Everton Polito, you dropped another super chat there, your first one ever on stream. I appreciate you, my friend. Thank you so much. Especially Gary Cardone. What about Gary Cardone? He's a big Bitcoin maxi. You know what's funny? He's one of the Bitcoin maxis that holds XRP, though. I went up into Gary Cardone's space, had a chat with him. Yeah, he's got it. Of course, he's got XRP, of course. He won't talk about XRP, though, in his spaces. Anytime anybody in the XRP community comes up, he always tries to shut it down, change the conversation. But he's willing to admit that he does hold XRP. Where's XRP at right now? XRP's at 57 cents. I think that we're in strong posture. You know, it's not overly bullish, but it's strong. When I look at Bitcoin, I see weakness because I just see lower highs and lower lows being set. From the March high of 74,000 down to 72, we tap 72 a couple more times. We break down all the way at the beginning of July, right? July 4th, we crash on down to 53,000. And then at the beginning of August here, we crashed all the way down to 48,000. We keep on setting these new lows, and then we're setting new highs as well. At the end of July, we pump up to 70,100. And then after we had the liquidation event at the start of the month, the Japan carry trade unwind, we did see Bitcoin pump up here to 65,000. Hip, hip, hooray. That's awesome, right? Well, when you zoom out, you see it's a lower high. We reject. We come back down to 58. This is a support level that goes way back, but we broke through 62, down to 58. There's not much here between 58 and 52. Which is, I mean, God, that's why we went all the way down to 48. I see weakness and I see a correction. I mean, NVIDIA, after hours, it was down like 8%, 9%. Comments, questions? Dennis says, I heard more was coming out of FTX. Well, that's true too. FTX has been offloading a bunch of Ethereum and Bitcoin. Mt. Gox distributions have now finalized. They are done, but that just happened as well. So there's been a lot of bearish catalysts that have brought us down to these levels, like the Japan carry trade unwind. But the problem that I've been saying is that the Japan carry trade is not done. JP Morgan says it's 75% done. That's a bold-faced lie. The Japan carry trade, you know, that's just one part of the global margin call that's taking place. And even if the Fed does lower interest rates in September, as we, reported on earlier this week and last week, I showed you guys the charts. What happened when the Fed lowered interest rates in 2007 and then again in the early 2000s. In 2007, we pumped for another 2 weeks after the Fed cut rates. And then over the next year, the S&P 500 fell 57%. Absolute bloodbath carnage. Real estate was a bleed out over 3 years. Some markets were extended. Real estate legs. By the way, I just recorded another real estate update today. That'll be dropping tomorrow. And that's part of the Real Estate Reset playlist. If you guys want to see my real estate content, I made a playlist on my YouTube, so it's easy for you to find it. I don't do them every day. I don't do them every week. But I like to keep you guys updated on the real estate asset class as well. Updates dropping tomorrow. Big story coming is what I heard if Trump gets in. Well, Trump, he's been laying out his plan. He's been laying out a program. He wants us to lead the world in cryptocurrency. That's a very clear position. Now, how do we do it and enact that with the policies? I think it's very simple. You bring in the likes of Ripple. Oh, wait, they've already done that. You bring in Ripple, you bring in Circle, you bring in those that are trying to do so in the private sector, just like Trump did in his first administration. He brought in Wall Street guys. He brought in, he brought in some names who knew how it goes, how it operates. And I anticipate him to do the same thing in his second administration. I anticipate him to do that in the cryptocurrency space as well. And the regulations and the bills are already pretty much there, ready to, be signed and enacted. There's no reason why we shouldn't already have it. Chucky Schumer says we'll have it by the end of the year. We're hopeful that we'll have it by the time a new administration and a new Congress comes in January. It'll be one of the first things that they get to. I'm not going to be holding my breath that they pass it this year. But, Chucky Schumer, we'll see if he delivers. Just woke up dreaming of XRP at 10,000. Yeah. Zach, why is NVIDIA down if the report came back with higher earnings than anticipated or expected? I think that if you look at the CEO, Jensen Huang, he's been offloading a bunch of shares. I think that the insiders are selling. I think that they've been using these earnings recalls to, bump things up so that they get more exit liquidity. I think that the story's over. Because their competitors are starting to do the same thing. The competitors have a lot of catching up to do. They're nowhere near NVIDIA. But what I've seen in the evidence that's been reported so far on NVIDIA, whether or not their revenues are actually real, how much of their revenue is concentrated within 5 companies and competitors, this is where it gets interesting as far as how much longer can this last. And I'm not going to say 100% that the top is in, but maybe the top is in. And it just so happened that the top coincided with Jensen Huang, the CEO, signing a woman's breast. Yeah, that happened. I thought the cryptocurrency space was a joke. The top signal for NVIDIA was that. That's where we're at in 2024 in our markets. It was the shoe shine boy giving stock tips during the Great Depression, the Roaring 20s, I should say, up until the Great Depression. This time around is the CEOs. Cheers. Cheers to that one. That was the market top right there, guys. There was signals. We're going to look back and we're going to see, yep, there was signals. Cheers to that. I hope you took profit. Zach Rector, I asked ChatGPT 4.0 how many bank clients has Medico. Answer, is that 200? And all the big players showed up. Yeah, Medico has a lot of partnerships. And then I just showed in the update earlier this week, Ripple just updated their documentation where they they confirmed dozens upon dozens of banks in the Philippines, Hong Kong, and China. Some of the biggest banks, some of the biggest American banks, JP Morgan, Bank of America, Citibank, their subsidiaries in Hong Kong and China are tapped in to Ripple's payments network. The documentation is there with their identifiers, their ID for the Ripple network. So similar to how you have a clearinghouse ID, a SWIFT member ID, Ripple has their own network ID. They're all tapped in. They're all tapped in. They were throwing their undies at Huang, and everybody and their brother was throwing money at NVIDIA. I didn't understand it enough. I've been researching the AI space, the chip space in this more recently. It's not something that really excites me. I know AI is going to change the world. I don't like sitting in front of a computer. I don't like, I'm an old school guy. I'm a conversation guy. I like the real world more than I like, the tech stuff in that regard. I don't nerd out and geek out in that way. I nerd out on, talking about financial markets, talking about the economy, talking about politics and current events and history, philosophy. I nerd out on that. Any other comments, questions? There's also Vietnam in country codes too, a 604 XRP. If you can send me that, I would appreciate that. I'd be interested in looking at that too, brother. I saw that you put out a post, by the way, talking about your experience with Neom. Neom, I don't know how you pronounce that, Neom, which they just recently tapped in with JP Morgan as well, but they're also tapped into Ripple's network. And I saw what you had posted there. That was very interesting. I appreciate you for sharing that, 604. Thank you so much. Yeah, if you can send me that, I'll look at the documentation too, because I have that saved as well. Zach, do you think that NVIDIA's earnings report will affect AI's bull run? Well, yeah, I mean, you look at what is that other one, Supermicro? That one's also down 60% from its all-time high. So a lot of these are already in a serious correction. The AI for crypto too, I had somebody who, what did we talk? I think we were in a one-on-one session the other day, asked me about AI, and I'm just honest about how I think about these things in regards to AI crypto projects. And I said that it's hard to nail down a real utility for why you need the token for said AI project, other than somebody's got a story that wants to dump on you. The AI hype was mostly just that, especially in the cryptocurrency space. It was done in the traditional markets as well, where a company would just say, oh, we're going to leverage AI, and their stock would pump. Same thing happened in the crypto space, where companies would say, oh, we're going to launch an NFT. We're going to, invest in the metaverse, and their stock would pump. They had no idea how they were going to do a metaverse. They had no idea how they were going to leverage AI, but it was the right thing to say to pump the stock today. Now, fast forward, we're starting to see that there's been little to none real utility, as far as AI crypto projects. I mean, you guys can let me know if you've seen anything that's impressed you, because maybe I'm late. I know I'm late to general AI understanding in that technology. And I've never invested in NVIDIA. I missed the boat on that one, of course, as well, too. But I'm willing to take that L. Like, I'm willing to admit, guys, I was late on NVIDIA because I was, doing other things, right? I was late to Bitcoin because I was doing other things, right? When it first came out, I was a kid in high school playing sports and messing around. And, come 2015, 2016, I was focused on my businesses and getting that started. Fast forward to 2017, I started to say, okay, I better get in on this thing. And then as soon as I got in on crypto, it took me less than a year to realize, okay, there's some better opportunities. And I moved into XRP and I started to research other cryptos. But I'm willing to admit, when I've been late, I was late on precious metals. Why? I was a young buck, mostly focused on stacking freedom seeds in my Second Amendment asset class. That was the precious metal that I was stacking. Now I've been stacking silver. I'm late to gold. Gold's already at a new all-time high. It's not going to stop me from acquiring some gold down the road when the time is right. Maybe, I for sure will. Maybe I won't make as big of an allocation, but I for sure will at some point. I'm not trying to get every single pick right. I'm not trying to follow 100 different cryptos. I don't own more than 10 different cryptos probably. I don't have a serious position in more than a few. It's so sad how the world is going into a deeper sleep, and it will allow XRP to slip out of their hands. So much distraction, so much chaos, and the stripping of wealth that's already underway, the transfer of wealth that's already underway. Not everybody's getting on the right side. That's keeping folks out of XRP, along with many other situations, including the damages done to the XRP community. I love that somebody asked, they wanted the red. Maybe they were trolling me. Maybe they were a hater. I don't know if they were being serious or they were just making, trying to clown me. Either way, I have the red folder. I just added more documentation to it earlier when we got the ruling from Judge Torres. I was happy to add that to the red folder. I print out the documentation. I got my pink highlighter. We go and mark up the documents. And we actually do legal due diligence. Dennis, thank you. Thank you for sending me the link. Is there anywhere to buy Ripple pre-IPO without being an accredited investor? Link2 used to be, but not anymore, it seems. Yeah, I would talk with Link2. I know Jake Claver and what they're doing with their group is interesting as well. There's not many people that are offering pre-IPO to non-accredited, though. It's very unfortunate. I wish there was more. I wish it was clear. I wish it's a tough thing to do. It's a very tough thing to do. I wish there was more folks that offered it. Every time I mention XRP in Australia, they think it's a scam. Well, Matt, isn't it? I mean, it's so sad to see how far Australia's gone. They've fallen off the deep end. I guess they're in the land down under, but they've fallen off even further off the plane of the earth. They have fallen off, haven't they? It's incredible what they've allowed to go through in Australia. So the masses aren't going to get on board the train. We're trying to wake folks up. There's a lot of people that won't. Sending you love, bro. Appreciate that. Thank you. I live and breathe XRP. Yep. I mean, that's the beautiful thing about this. I love this opportunity. I love the fact that we've had to go through all this. I mean, I would love to see XRP at a higher price now, of course. But we've been able to help a lot of people get on board. And nobody will, if anybody wants to try to tell me that I didn't get enough people in XRP, I'll be able to show them the hours, the thousands of hours that we put in, the thousands of videos that I've already put out talking about XRP. They won't be able to say that we didn't try to tell them. We did try to tell them. You really think that they will use their own tech? Well, no, that's the thing, is that the elite that control everything now, they're moving on digital assets. We've been accumulating these assets literally before some of them have gotten on board. Now, these guys have been in on Bitcoin since the very beginning. A lot of them have been in on XRP for a long time. Look at institutions like R3, which acquired 1 billion XRP from Ripple. They acquired 1% of the supply from Ripple after they tried to get 5% of the supply. That's just one institution. What do you think's happened with the hundreds of others of institutions and partners of Ripple? Do you think that they tried to acquire any XRP at all? Do you think that the, 1,200 contracts? The 1,200 contracts that were deemed an investment contract and the 1,700 contracts, NDAs, do you think that there was just nothing there? They were, behind the NDA, behind the investment contract, 1,200 of them were deemed to be investment contracts. That means that somebody was trying to buy XRP. That confirms that institutions and banks and other folks were trying to buy XRP. And we know that none of those were actually retail traders. They were all institutions, as a matter of fact. $1,200 contracts to buy XRP. Some 41 different entities were cited, I believe. 1,700 contracts, 1,200 of them were investment contracts, which was why the fine was $125 million. It's big time fine, big time fine. But the reason is because 1,200 of those contracts were investment contracts per Judge Torres' ruling. And then they cite some 41 different entities counterparties on the other sides of these contracts. How come after several years XRP haters cannot come up with a decent argument? Come on. I'm not going to say that, but yes. Yeah. Yeah, it really has been kind of the same thing, even though we've proven all of it. We've proven a lot of the FUD points we've been able to prove with facts, evidence, documentation, on-chain. But we are still the biggest threat. Watcher Guru reporting 126 nations meet to discuss ditching the US dollar. Guys, I want to do Q&A for another 5 minutes. What do you guys got? Any final questions, comments? Everything's at ZachRichter.com. I know a lot of people have been asking for the one-on-one sessions. I have fired that back up. So if you want to schedule a one-on-one time with me, you can. I will not give you any financial advice, period, full stop. So please understand that. Please read my legal disclaimer. But if you want to sit down with me and have a conversation, I'm willing to talk business, life, and different ideas in general. And so I've made that available along with access to our private community that's signed up through Patreon to get you access to Discord. We would love to have you there. We also just added a new exchange affiliate. That would be Caleb and Brown Exchange. I would recommend having multiple options. Like I said, I'm not going to give you financial advice, but I will tell you, I have lined myself up with multiple exchanges. I just signed up with Caleb and Brown. I am going to be moving some XRP there because I want to give myself options for cashing out or taking profit when we start to get price appreciation this bull run. The most important thing I believe is having options with your banks where you keep your money, right? Where we keep our money and where we're looking to trade cryptocurrency, because we know that when it gets volatile, it gets shaky, liquidity gets tough. And so that's why I just added Caleb and Brown. It's listed at ZachRichter.com. If you sign up with them, it's free. They'll do consultations with you for free. They'll help you move your crypto around, and you can actually pick up the phone and call somebody. They offer institutional grade custody, and it's a way to support the channel when you use any of our community resources. So I just want to say thank you once again for supporting me. Once again, just trying to put out content on a daily basis into the current events, financial markets, covering cryptocurrency being part of the greatest transfer of wealth in world history. I really hope that you guys appreciated this update. I'll have more content for you guys tomorrow. So make sure you guys have subscribed, hit that notification bell, and I will see you guys tomorrow. Thank you so much, and God bless you.